Hey guys, welcome to the Driveway Liberty Podcast. Man, it's a beautiful day in the driveway. I am your Uncle Wes, man, and I am sitting here with my good friends Travis and Dan. And we about to just start chatting it up and drinking some beers, man. We hope you've had a good week. I know we were a little light on content over the last week, but it is what it is. What's up, fellas? How are y'all doing?
Doing good. Got to see some baseball last night. Girls, both South Walton teams doing pretty good. South Walton girls softball lost in the semifinals at Wakulla last night, 1-0 in 8 innings.
Oh,
But they're still probably going to make the regionals because they're in the top 6. I think they're ranked number 6 in the region.
right.
And then the boys are probably going to host all the way through till you get to Fort Myers.
Nice.
So they're in the championship game of the district tomorrow night.
So if they make it to Fort Myers, are you staying away just for
No, I'm going
like
to
health
Fort Myers.
purposes?
Yeah, I have 2 Achilles. I want to preserve
right.
the other one.
Getting 2 walking boots to go to Fort Myers just to be sure.
Well, I got selected again to umpire at Fort Myers for states, and I had to decline because South Walton's graduation date is the same as the state championship, Saturday the 20th.
Right.
So I had to decline because I want to see my son graduate, obviously. But if South Walton goes, which, barring something crazy, they probably will. Not
right.
guaranteed.
Because it's Final Four, right?
Yeah, Final
In
Four.
Fort Myers, yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at the state rankings of 4A, they've beaten everybody that's ranked in the top 15 in our region. The highest ranked teams in the state are all. It's South Walton's number 1 in the state in 4A, but you've also the next group of teams, like the top 15, are all in Tampa Bay area or down in Miami.
Right.
So they won't see them until Fort Myers. So barring an upset or something crazy happening, they're probably going to go.
Nice.
And I told my boss, I said, listen, if South Walton goes to Fort Myers, I'll bring my equipment. You need me to call a game, I'll be there. Obviously, I can't call a South Walton game, but
That'd be
I'll
awesome
there.
if you got to call a state championship.
So my son's playing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I don't think
that'd
that's
go over real well, I'm
No,
sure.
you're actually not allowed to call any teams that you called during the season.
Right, okay.
So, like last year, I did like 2 Pace games. Pace made it to the regional finals. I could not call a Pace game.
Oh, interesting.
Cool. Trav, how you doing, buddy?
Good. We went to Mobile last weekend, had a good time.
Looks like it.
And based off the voicemail you guys left me, y'all had a good time while I was gone.
Yeah, it was Dan's birthday celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were hanging out doing really cool stuff.
It was hilarious, like literally 7 a.m. the next morning after, because we did our brief live stream.
Right.
I made the announcement and talked about your crappy day, and
And it's continued, but
and sat here for another 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah.
And at 7 a.m., my wife was like, "Hey, did you know today's Dan's birthday?" I'm like, I sat in the driveway with him for like 4 hours. Just less than 12 hours ago,
Right.
actually. So my wife was very worried that I did not acknowledge your birthday. I was like, I actually did it on the live stream.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
There you go, right?
There you go. My birthday was acknowledged. Yeah, it was a good time.
I'm going to tell y'all about how shitty my life's been over the last week in just a minute. But right now I'm sharing a podcast. And I hope that you are absolutely doing the same, sharing it with your friends and family and in your groups. Because we are absolutely shadow banned, man. There's no way for us to really get the word out anymore unless you share it with your friends and family. So that's what I'm doing. But let me tell you what sucks is somebody is at fault in totaling your own car, which is what happened to me last Wednesday. And then you get your money from the insurance company, which I have. Bank then subsequently puts a hold on said money, so you can't immediately go out and buy a new vehicle. You're looking at vehicles just to replace the one you had, and they are about 10 grand more than you paid for the damn thing new.
yeah, thanks, Joe.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm sitting here looking at probably having to get in a lesser vehicle if I don't want a payment, which I really don't. I've been without one for several years now, or a few years. And, man, it just really sucks. On top of that, I do have to give a shout out to my good friend Steve B for loaning me a vehicle so I didn't have to be in like a $40 neon rental car and which would absolutely suck.
Hold on. Did Steve know that the option was you being in a Dodge Neon or him giving you a car? Because I don't think if you laid that option out to Steve, he would have chosen to loan you his car.
Probably not.
Because the laughs of you getting out of a Dodge Neon would be awesome.
Man, I struggle to get out of his Bronco. I mean, he's loaned me his Bronco, man, and my big ass is trying to crawl out of that thing. It looks like 12 clowns getting out of a clown car. It's crazy.
So, shameless plug for a good friend of mine, if y'all don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you're in Walton County this Saturday, got to be at Freeport of the Outpost at noon. Mediocre to slightly good band. But the festivities.
I'd lean towards slightly good. Plus, they're hilarious. The lead guy, the front man's hilarious.
Sure. Yeah, we can go with that. But bike week at a biker bar and going to be awesome festivities.
Yeah.
Don't want to scare anybody off.
It's probably not going to be family friendly. We should mention that.
Well, I thought a biker bar during bike week
is self-explanatory.
I've gotten 2 messages asking if they were like, "Hey, is the thing at the Outpost going to be family friendly?" I'm like, "Well, I'm not 100% on it, but I've heard something about wet shirts and tattoo contests."
Woohoo.
So I would err on the not bringing the kids.
Yeah.
But most bikers now are like accountants and attorneys, and that's who rides Harleys these days. Right. You've got the rough guys that do still ride, but most of them are just pretty laid back. Yeah, wild it's like your boomer dad,
Tim Allen.
And look, I've had this marked on my calendar since you first mentioned. Okay, like I have the awesomeness going down Saturday, starting at noon.
Right.
Built up. I'm a little worried I've built it up too much.
You may have.
That I'm
going to
be
let disappointed.
I'm going to be disappointed.
Well, it's kind of a big deal.
However, I'm going to stick my jorts in the truck. And you know what? If I'm the one that's got to get the party started because I get hammered by one, you know what? I'll take one for the team.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Hey, Heather. Hey, John. How y'all doing? Yeah, I think it's going to be a big time. I mean, we're thinking enough of it. We normally run our own sound. We set up our own PA. And this absolutely has nothing to do with me not having a vehicle to transport PA. But we've got a sound man coming in to run sound for us, set up his PA, and so hopefully that's going to help us sound even better on stage.
Score.
Hey, I assure you, by about 2 p.m., I'm going to love the sound, no matter what you're playing.
Well, I always say the more you drink, the better we sound.
That's true.
So that will definitely help.
Do you have a preliminary schedule of when the other festivities are going on, or
I do
just
not.
So I can mentally prepare?
I do not, unfortunately.
I don't want to go hard in the paint for the first 3.5 hours, and then the wet shirt contest happen, and
you miss it.
You're sleeping.
Right. Yeah.
You're
what I'm
laid
saying?
out on a picnic table
right,
with a chili dog hanging out your mouth. Yeah.
Right.
What time are you playing?
12 to 4.
Ooh, that's a marathon.
Well, it'll be like 3 sets, 3 slightly longer sets with bigger breaks in between. It won't be like, going the whole shebang. I mean, Uncle Wes got to get a beer. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true.
And but we'll have music playing, and it'll be a big time, even in the breaks.
It's probably tough for you to sing and play guitar.
My wife's excited. She's recruiting a group to come.
Hey, I like it. I like every bit of that.
Like our friends that live right around the corner up there.
Yeah.
And,
I need a DD, so.
Well, you can ride with us, I suppose.
You'll all need one coming back, more than likely.
That's right.
I hear there's also a tribute band playing at LA Club LA that night. If y'all really want to make a day of it, I've got to play the next day at the distillery solo, so I'll probably call it early. But
I'm going to assume by 4:30. I'm not on the downward slide, but I'm on the. It ain't on the. Let's keep this going for the next 8 hours.
Right? Yeah.
I think we'll be in bed by 8 o'clock at night, probably.
Making good sense. So, hey, man, I mean, a lot of us, especially on the side of Liberty, are sitting around and we're looking, and we're trying to discern, man, how the blip did we get here? Like how I censored myself for the kids at home. And I think it all started with the demasculization of American society, the feminization of men, where we started initially in schools with, all right, you can't hit them back if they hit you first. You're a bully too if you fight back. That's where it starts. Then it's like you can't make fun of the pansy boys. Now words are bullying.
Yep.
And now it's all, well, who gets to decide what gender is. So it's basically, if you look at it, if you don't have tough men in society, it's easier to take society over. And I think that is the crux.
Kind of sounds like it was planned.
I'm thinking it was, Daniel. I'm thinking that's what's going on. I mean, we've got hold on, we got a little video example of how we're deciding what's masculine and not. Are you ready for it?
Yep.
All right, here we go.
And then I was Christmas shopping for them. They were 18 months old, and I bought one of those toy tool benches, and I was making the joke that, well, when one of them comes to me and says they're a man when they're 18, I can't say I didn't see it coming, just because they kind of did draw to boy toys, and I was just making a joke. But I am so glad I said it out loud, because I have that in my mind now that at 18 months old, something somewhere was telling me what he knew all along. Sure, of course. Okay. But so when he could start talking, he articulated to me that he was a boy. Mommy, I'm a boy. Mommy, I'm a boy. And both of my kids did Mommy, I'm a puppy, all that. It was very different. And we drug our feet on it because, what? It's normal to not understand that, obviously. So we saw therapists and we saw doctors, and ultimately we came to know what he has known all along, which is that he really is a boy. He really is. And I will be starting gender affirming care for him. He's been seeing doctors for years, and it is a very long process. They are very thorough.
So I'm going to interrupt you just for a second.
Course.
I'm going to give you a few extra seconds to prove that. You can have it up.
Aren't they cute, though? Okay.
Okay,
So,
I'm not giving you that much extra.
Okay. But full disclosure, this is a slightly older photo because now they are preteens, and taking a photo for mom where they both smile is like, nah, that's lame. So now that he is almost 11 and starting puberty, we are discussing puberty blockers. And what that would do, it would prevent him from growing the body of a woman. Because I promise you, he's not a woman. He shouldn't be in a woman's body. And honestly, I don't think he could survive if we forced him into it. I really don't. So we will find that care for him. I will go to the ends of the earth if I had to for either of these children. And we'll probably just go to New York, not the ends of the earth. But if this bill passes. So please don't make us travel for doctor's appointments. Don't make us consider leaving the state.
First thing I would like to say to that is it should be a difficult process, even for an adult, because you want somebody, if they're considering changing how they present themselves to society, you want them to really think about that before they start and this is adults, before they start slicing body parts on or adding fake ones or whatever, and taking hormones. You want somebody to think about it. So this shit should be difficult to do. It should be impossible to do this to a child.
The kid's 11 years old, she's talking.
Right.
And she said he said he was a puppy.
Let's call it like it is. Yeah.
She said she was a puppy. Why aren't you doing surgery to make him a puppy or her a puppy?
Yeah, why didn't you train them to go to the bathroom outside?
Right.
Yeah, an eat from a bowl.
When you're rubbing their nose in it when they peed on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
These people are fucked in the head. This is insane.
Absolutely insane. There's a meme that's been floating around this week where it's like from an old Dick and Jane book, how we learned how to read in the 70s and earlier.
Yeah.
And it was like, Mommy, I'm a boy. And the mom's like, no, you're not.
Yeah, it's
that's
the meme, little girl.
Yeah,
saying, Mommy,
little
I'm a
girl
boy.
saying, "Mommy, I'm a boy."
No, you're not.
No, you're not. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
That's the end of it. Now, when that kid gets older, goes through puberty, and says, "I still think I'm a boy," do your thing. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
I don't remember exactly what state that was at.
I think wasn't it Montana, because they just passed the law.
It may have been Montana, but
well, it's Texas too is doing it.
Well, I think, but that hearing must have been in Montana. But whatever. Like, there's so much laughing going on in that courtroom, and I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? Like, that person's a child abuser. You have a child abuser testifying in front of a congressional committee.
Trying to justify mutilating a child.
Yes. Now, if that person was Muslim from Somalia and was trying to justify gender mutilation, which we've heard for decades and decades is so
You're right.
terrible, there would be no laughter.
No.
We'd be throwing the Patriot Act at them.
Right.
But because it's absolutely mind-boggling. Like that is a groomer. At 18 months, she made the decision for clicks and for, likes on Instagram and in the mommy trans groups and those types of things that she was going to do that. That's
Right.
what that mom decided.
Well, there's a whole affirmation process with the parents in all this too. Like they get into this group you're talking about, and they become affirmed with the insanity that they're bringing to the table by other insane parents
Yes.
Right.
who are doing the same thing. And then you have that collective feel-good type mentality where you can justify pretty much anything.
Well, and the mom's like, well, she said but she's starting puberty, and we're going to stop her from having the body of a woman. Like, what's wrong with you, lady?
Right. Yeah.
Like that is like how that person was able to get up and freely walk out of a red state
Congressional
hearing as a free person is absolutely beyond me. That's a child abuser.
Yes.
There's no other way around it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to what Wes was talking about, this when he talked about the demasculization, that
It's part of it. I mean, we talked.
it's literally a process of shaping public opinion that is incremental, goes down this road to get to the point where we're at now. And I don't know if even this is the end game. There might be some fucked up shit coming down the line after.
Well, I mean, we've speculated as to whether maybe this was to prevent reproduction and the perpetuation of the species at the rate that it's been perpetuated at.
Well,
Because
Agenda
the
2030
globalists
or whatever.
believe, or the climate change globalists believe, that we're overpopulated. So they are looking for ways to
This is
prevent.
just one of the ways.
Yeah.
Well,
One of
I
them.
also think it is another part and parcel of a more and more godless society.
Yes.
And I'm not even going off on the Christian ethics, but if you believed in something higher than
Well,
yourself,
just morality.
Right. What's up, Matt?
just a basic morality, if you just believed in something higher than yourself,
Mm-hmm.
there would be, or if you believed you were a small part, right? That person is the biggest narcissist I've ever heard speak. She wanted something out of her kid, and she forced it onto that kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, man? I used to put my mom's heels on when I was a kid because I liked being taller, and I'd wear them around the house. And my dad was like, "Get that shit off your feet, boy."
Yeah.
He wouldn't say that because he was a pastor, but that's in essence what he was saying. Go get them shoes off, them women's shoes. But I like the stilt factor of wearing the heels.
Right.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah. So then
makes
he
you 4
hands
inches
you a
taller.
pair of cowboy boots with the heel on the back.
Right.
Like, all right, there
All right,
you go.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You just can't run real fast.
Yeah.
so.
Strap a
Exactly.
fucking 2x4 on your
Right.
feet block.
Yeah.
But and I think that's part of the problem is we are, it's part of the godless society, and everybody thinks the universal law. Like that person is talking about doing the complete opposite of biology. You're trying to stop someone that was born as a woman with female plumbing, female emotions, female everything from becoming a woman. It's not possible. You are literally talking about the opposite of science.
Right.
Well, and then you add the factor in that this person is now going to be a medical expense for the rest of their life.
Yes.
yeah.
Forever.
Because they've got to take hormones.
You have to
the
maintain
rest
the
of their life.
hormones, you have the surgery, and when you completely try to change your body dynamics, there's follow-up with that. And guess what?
Well,
The shit just doesn't change.
hey,
You don't...
You know what? Somebody sitting in that committee should have asked some follow-up question. Hey, can you tell me every therapist you've been to in detail, please?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And who else?
Name the therapist.
Okay. And the next day, there's going to be a bill to pull all of their medical licenses.
Yeah.
Period. Because it's on them as well as it is anybody else.
Sure.
And the people that give you let's prevent suicide, or the mom said it right there.
The stats are no different.
Yes. It's like 1% up or down depending on
It
which
literally
study you look
makes
at.
no difference
And so
in the suicide rate.
since that kid was 18 months old, their mother has forced them into a false reality that kid's screwed the rest of their life.
Yeah.
They're never going to be productive to society.
So John Nash asked a question. I want to know why this topic is more important to the administration than our economy and debt crisis on the horizon. This topic,
Because this is the new religion.
this is the new religion, but it's also it's part of their path to control the economy and control the debt and to control you.
And an added benefit, it's a diversion. It's just another avenue to keep us fighting.
Yeah, the Fed raised
So that
interest
they-
rates 0.25% today.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've got slides on that shit. It just doesn't stop. I mean, the Joe Biden administration has been a car wreck on every level whatsoever.
yeah.
And it's basically Obama on steroids. Obama laid the framework for it. Now Biden, not Biden himself, because I think he has literally nothing to do with this because he doesn't know where the fuck he is, but the people who are running his administration are just taking the ball and running with it and putting these things in place to where we, like, literally, how is it that a sane society is fucking arguing over this insanity?
Well, it's because we're not a sane society.
Yeah.
I think that's a false premise to start from right there. Like, we're arguing over the basis of reality. I mean, and what it is. And again, that mother has forced a mental illness that kid will most likely never ever recover from.
And if she made a mistake, which there's gender dysphoria, that's real.
Absolutely. That's
But
right.
it's a very, very, very small.
But at 18 months, choosing a certain toy isn't
yeah,
gender
that's-
this is
that's
nature
stupid.
versus nurture, and this child at 18 months has been nurtured to be a boy.
Well, we talk about we haven't talked about it, but think about the lifelong effects of being manipulated mentally, whether it's sexual abuse, being beat as a child, all these things. You know, you talk about the daddy issues, you talk about, you know, there's all kinds of shit that happens when you're a teenager that shapes the way you are
Sure.
in the future. Look at what's happening with these people. Like, we're creating, and this number, like, went from less than 1% to where we're talking like in the 6% range now.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty telling there wasn't a dad there testifying.
right.
No. Well, where's the fucking dad? I can tell you, if this shit happened in my house, it would end pretty quick.
Well,
Not that it would happen. My wife is fucking
well,
insane.
and again, going back to Wes's original point was if you act like a man, like that is looked down on society in every fast car society. Like,
Don't
if-
mansplain to me.
If you
yeah.
look at all of the, we've talked about it, TV, movies, you know, if you've got a big, strong dad, manly man, he's an idiot,
Yeah,
right? Or he's abusive, or, you know, so, and
Or
all
he's
the,
a womanizer,
and all
or-
the quote good dads are, you know, the weak guys and, you know, things like that. Like even Modern Family, which I love Modern Family, it's hilarious, but like the one, like, actual dad that has, you know, teenage kids in there, you know, he's kind of weak and a little bit effeminate, and, you know, and it's like, okay, well, he's a good dad, but like that's not what a man is,
right.
right? And then on the flip side, you have, you know, Al Bundy, or I forget his name.
Yeah,
That's kind of the patriarch, you know, and he gets pushed around by his wife.
right.
And, you know, he's scared to death of his wife. And so all of these male role models that you see on TV, movies, these types of things, like it's just not there, which I believe is why we see, when you go online, Twitter, all this stuff, like the kind of trad Catholic or, you know, Orthodox, like you see this stuff rising in these young kids because a male is looking for someone to help him be a man
Yeah,
at all times. Dan, I know you and Danny some days will beat the hell out of each other, and it may
But
not
that's
be
all
tomorrow.
part of it. Yeah.
It may be 5 years, maybe 10 years. He's going to thank you for every moment of that.
yep.
I mean, me and my dad, me and my stepdad, but I knew what the man's role was,
Yep.
and that is looked down upon in our society, and that's how we end up with this mom. I mean, if that had been my household, and this woman comes and says this to me at 18 months, A, I'd have probably called CPS, Child Protective Services, but B, it wouldn't have gone much further, I assure you.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine that conversation.
But then it would never happen in your house.
Yeah.
Right. See, and that's the thing, right? Like these things rarely happen, there are these outside influences, and I know with all the TikToks and all this stuff, but I think those instances are a little bit rare, and they can be prevented more easily, right? If that starts to pop up, if you have a strong father figure in the house, that's always been a strong father figure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, because my daughter asked some questions and has said something to me in the past, and I'm like, I don't think you know what that means. Let's talk
Right.
about it. And I know we've all kind of had that conversation.
Sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's kind of funny. When our kids were born, and we all have daughters about the same age, probably our biggest worry was our drugs.
Yeah. I
mean,
wish it was drugs at this
drugs
point.
Yeah, right?
Well,
Drugs
fentanyl maybe, but
Drugs
Yeah.
and the P word.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I never thought I'd be having a conversation with my daughter on what's wrong with somebody wanting to be a male or female when they weren't. And I've had that conversation with her.
yeah.
And it's crazy.
Again, there are some basics of reality that I think you have to enforce as a man in your home.
Right.
Okay, you guys, you know my wife. My wife's very, I don't want to say loud, but you don't have to wonder what my wife's thinking very often, right? And so I think people see that, and I tend to be in social settings a little more quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Than she's just more, like social butterfly than I am
Outgoing.
in certain.
Yeah.
And I think there's been people that will say something, and they've said something to me like, "Man, I bet that's tough to deal with." I'm like, "No, that shit stops here, bro. Like that don't come to our house.
Right.
Like, she's still the same person, but there's a certain level of respect, and neither one of us will cross that line over it, because at the end of the day, I make the decisions here. Now we make it as a team,
Yeah.
every decision, but if I really dig my heels in, that's it. Rarely does it go past that.
Right. Well, and like most dudes, we pick our battles with the wife. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
they're-
and
yeah.
look, I am not the. Look, I want to be very clear. Like I lack a lot of being the perfect man, but with both of us having a biblical worldview, we had this conversation very early. Like, hey, look, I'm, being the man in the house doesn't mean it's a dictatorship, but there is some deference to decision makings and those types of things when it comes down to it, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, guess what, boys? It is time for beer reviews. Beer reviews. Oh shit! I hit it again.
2 times.
So
Do we have to do 2 beer reviews?
no,
now?
no. So if you don't know at home, we record the audio separately from the live stream, so we can air the audio for those people who don't catch the live stream, or want to watch us on video. And I actually hit the beer review intro twice on there, so
Oops.
I've got a little extra editing to do when I get ready
I
to
think you should leave it
launch
as a
that.
double beer review.
Double
That's
beer
right.
reviews. So it's that time in the podcast where we all discuss the beers we're drinking. Daniel, what you got, buddy?
I had to go back to an old favorite,
Oh yeah.
just simply because I didn't have time to go to the store.
There you go.
Yingling.
Yang-a-lang.
It's like I went to Walmart, and a case of 24 cans
Right.
was on sale for $18.
Nice. Can't beat that.
Look, I'll say it. They're my beer review. Yeah, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
How do you turn that down?
That's-
So I
that's
buy a
hard to pass
case,
up.
and during the week I'll buy a 6-pack here and there for beer reviews, but this week I just didn't get there.
I got you. What about you, Trav? What you got, buddy?
Well, to be completely different from that. Actually, I did the old crap. I gotta go scrounge up some beers,
Yeah.
which is hilarious. I've either got like no beer in my house, or I've got 2 beers randomly stashed in like 9 different places. either old coolers, the outside fridge, the inside fridge, you know.
Yeah.
The 2 beers that I didn't drink last week during the podcast. And so I actually have 2 different beers. I've got Yuengling. That's the one I'm reviewing. Okay, because I had 2 of those left.
There you go.
But the other one is actually an Anheuser-Busch beer that I bought before.
Your
Mulvaney stuff.
Your PP's gonna fall off.
Right, I know. But it's just the Kona Brewing. So
I got you.
But what I was going to say is, I'm starting to see some prices on like Budweiser, and I'm like, I mean, I'm all about this boycott, but cheap beer is cheap beer, man. Like,
that's how they get you back on board. That's how they get you.
Like, I walk in, they got 24 Budweisers for $7.99. Whatever.
I'm still not fucking buying it when I can get Yuengling.
Right, there you go.
I'm going to stay strong too, but they trying to hit me in my feels with that one.
Well, I've been, truck shopping this week, and I tried to scrounge a few beers, and I didn't have any to scrounge. I had like 1 or 2 at the house, and that wasn't enough to get through the podcast, obviously. So I ran up to Publix, and I wanted to do something a little different. I like a wheat beer sometimes, and I'm trying to get my new summer beer picked out. So I tried, I drank Cigar City last week and week before, I think. So I'm trying a new Cigar City beer. It's called Theoretical Jam. It's a wheat beer, and it's got a little, like, some grapefruit zest in it that's just, and some berry. It tastes like
it's a very
berry.
non-masculine beer.
Look, man, it's not fucking Bud Light. But
grapefruit zest.
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, I didn't know. I just saw Theoretical Jam, 6% alcohol instead of the like 8% of the other Cigar Cities, and I said, well, I can drink this tonight.
So, I can't remember if I told you guys, a couple weeks ago I was up in Prattville for a sales meeting.
Yeah.
All right, and we're staying at a hotel right there, and I assure you, as someone that grew up in Prattville, that used to be Bud Light country.
Oh
Yeah.
That was. I mean, it was Bud Light
Dude,
country.
I like all the rural areas. It was either Nasty Light, Bush Light, or Bud Light, or
At
Budweiser.
the hotel I was staying at, they had the whole cooler with, the Coke, salt that, and then they had a couple rows of beer. And there wasn't a single beer in there except Bud Light and Budweiser.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally every other beer was gone. Now, I did see, I'm not going to call him out, I did see one of my guys that works with us. He's like, man, I really need a beer. I'm like, hey, man, no judgment here. You know, you trying to transition, that's on you. So he like snuck over there and he walked around like drinking it like this. He's like, man, I just wanted a beer. Like, it's not my fault. I'm like, well,
Go to another store.
Yeah.
Well, we were at the hotel. It was at the hotel.
Yeah, and once you're at the hotel, it's tough to leave to go buy stuff.
Instacart.
No,
And
there's-
pay $18 in delivery fees for
Right.
a 6-pack.
Right, yeah. There you go. So, John Nash is proud of y'all for drinking the Yuenglings.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
That's right.
So,
It's a good go-to beer.
quick story about my trip to Mobile.
All right.
I had to get an Uber Friday because the cool part about Mobile, if you guys ever been in that little downtown area, but it's about 8 cities, and you really don't have to drive. I mean, you could
Yeah, you
theoretically
can walk.
anywhere.
Yeah.
But I had the Uber. We forgot our air mattress. I had to go get an air mattress, and that was a little bit too far to walk. Didn't want to drive because I'd already had a few. And so, get this Uber, and it's a Kia Soul. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
With the rats driving it.
You're
No.
right.
About a 400-pound dude named Jeremy in camouflage from head to toe.
In a
Picks me
Kia
up-
Soul,
Picks me up in this Kia Soul.
and it was leaning like that.
Yeah, I mean, I barely evened it out, but I was like, I was sitting there for a minute. So me and him started chatting. It was a $7 Uber ride, and I tipped him $15. It's like, Jeremy, I love you. You working anymore this weekend? It's like, I don't know if I'm gonna be here tomorrow. Like, you got a personal cell phone number? I'll call you, Jeremy. Like, I love you. He ended up telling a story that included the phrase "surprise butt sex," which not on him or me. It was on during Mardi Gras. Some dude laying on the ground with his pants down. They thought he might be dead. Like, so he's trying to give me what he thought his explanations were. He's like, well, there's only one of two things: either he just got some surprise butt sex, or he's dead.
I'm glad you clarified that because you just saying guy in camouflage 400
I know.
pounds.
See, I like to throw that
I
out
love
there
you
and let it
butt
marinate
sex.
for a second. because I did that.
That
As soon as
makes a good story.
As soon as I got back to dinner, I'm like, yeah, me and Jeremy's talking about surprise butt sex, and everybody's like, I'm sorry, what? Like, no, not either one of us.
Right. Yeah, surprise.
And then he was telling me a story. He was mad during Mardi Gras because these folks had moon pies and they were trying to tip him in beads. And he's like, "Yo, I'm fat. Tip me in moon pies."
Yeah, give me
look. He was like really upset they didn't tip him in moon pies. It's like, Jeremy, you're the best, man.
Yeah, that's
I love
awesome.
you so much.
Highly recommended. 5 out of 5 stars right there. That's a good ride. So Daniel, what else you got over there, buddy?
So we were talking about Bud Light, and let's just talk about the numbers.
All right.
So the tracking data on Bud Light sold in places like supermarkets. So they call it off-premise volume sales. So it's outside of restaurants and bars. So these are your supermarkets and liquor stores. They fell by 26.1% in the week ending April 22nd.
Right.
And it's going the wrong way because the previous week it was 21.1%. So the Bud Light fall continues. Now the stock price of Anheuser-Busch really hasn't changed.
Well, and that's probably because a lot of people have, a lot of smart investors have anticipated the stocks to fall, so they will, if it drops a little bit, they're buying it up.
Yep. Knowing that
trying to buy the down on it.
Well,
will
I
run its
don't know.
course.
I also think it's probably getting some ESG investment into it.
Probably.
To
Yeah, probably.
encourage them to hold tight and not. But see, and we've talked about this many times. Like we don't really have a real economy.
Right.
Like you should not be down 26% in sales in a week, and your stock price stays
Stay the
relatively
same.
flat.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Your valuation's not there.
No, it's a sinking ship.
And I'll tell you this, like just from a societal standpoint, I mean, remember we were sitting over there. You guys weren't even here yet, and we're watching the fight, or maybe Dan was, and a guy we'd never met because Buddy just put it out on the neighborhood page.
Yeah.
And he walks up and somebody says, "You didn't bring a Bud Light, did you?" He said, "Hell no, I know where I live."
It was one of our neighbors we never
Yeah,
met.
we've never met the guy before,
Right.
right? Like, and he knew.
He knew
right?
what was up.
And,
Yeah.
and that's where Bud Light and Budweiser is right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you come back from that.
Well, they're trying. So they released that Clydesdale commercial.
Man, they've got a Zach Brown. I'm
got
actually
freaking
boycotting
destroyed.
Zach Brown band now as a result of them using their music.
Yeah,
in
so
there.
they did this countrified video
Right.
trying to get back to their roots of chicken fried with.
Yeah, with Zach Brown.
And then
Look.
the tagline was "Rain or shine, it's always easy to enjoy a Bud Light." And literally, they're getting destroyed. Like when they ran this ad, like the Clydesdale ad, they ran it and they put the video on Twitter,
Yeah.
and the public told them what they thought and tore them a new asshole.
Yeah.
This one they put out on Twitter and turned off the comments. Are you people fucking stupid?
And you know what? You know how this could be fixed?
Shut up.
The CEO says, "Hey guys, we're out of the culture shit.
Yeah, we
Our
screwed
bad.
up.
We screwed up.
Yep.
We should have never done this. We've fired multiple folks involved with it. We've put in new oversight in all of our marketing. This isn't what our brand is, and you won't hear from us ever again."
And then you just go back to doing your Clydesdales
And you know what?
Cowboy ads.
At that point, I'd go buy a couple cases of Budweiser just to.
and over time, they would go away because people,
The public memory is
Quiet
very
down,
short.
yeah.
It's very short.
but they just keep doubling down on stupid.
Yeah.
Well, again, that's why I think the cultural piece of just dudes making fun of each other, like literally a 6'6", 350-pound grown man is hiding the beer he's drinking in the hotel from just me.
Yeah.
Because he's embarrassed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what you've done to your brand.
that public he knows that public shaming is coming,
Yeah.
and that's powerful.
Well, and I tell you what, I've never really noticed I don't really drink Anheuser-Busch product. I drink Goose Island on occasion, which is owned by Anheuser-Busch, but I make it a point to look and measure the stock of the Anheuser-Busch products versus every other product in the place. And when I stop by Publix, they had full shelves.
Oh yeah,
Every Anheuser-Busch brand was well stocked, and everything else was picked through.
And they're the ones, aren't they the ones that invented that born on date?
yes.
Yeah.
So
Wait.
now you got the Born on Date
which
Own your own
on
beer.
their own beer
Right.
that is fucking dying on the shelves.
Right?
That's fucking beautiful.
I know that's why you're gonna see some like $5.99 cases of.
Yeah.
Look,
The last week of the how long is beer left?
you gonna start cutting Modelo that low? Oh, Travis gonna have a hard time on that one. I'm just saying, like you start really cutting the price, but to me the Bud Light story, it really encompasses a whole lot of things culturally, obviously, but the ESG part of that, of these companies stepping in, and there was some big group that came out and basically threatened Bud Light, like if you if
that
you,
CEI score.
yeah, like if you don't do this, and so now Anheuser-Busch is sitting there and they're saying, okay, well, we're not selling anything,
Right?
but if we back off, like, and that's why people have to keep the public shaming, people have to keep not buying it,
Yep.
just move to Miller Lite,
Yeah.
Coors Light. Like I assure you, like when it comes to Bud Light, Budweiser, there's plenty of other options, and that general
Yeah.
cheap, not a ton of flavor, you can drink a million of them beers.
Right?
I assure you, there's no shortage.
No,
Yep.
there's a ton.
There's plenty of them.
There's a ton.
You'll probably find craft beer brewers starting to
Well,
brew.
what's the one I had that daytime beer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a version of the Bud Light, Miller Lite type. 4%, 4.5, 5, little less than 5% alcohol.
Yeah, typically the Miller Lite runs around like 5.1, 5.
Yeah, they're all right around
Yeah.
5.
And Bud,
yeah.
I mean, Bud Light just.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
5%.
Before
Look,
you got here,
in
Trav.
the group my sales group message, I just saw it. Someone came through. Someone's out at a concert, and somebody just wrote in, "Just stay away from the free Bud Light." I'm like,
telling you,
it's
it's everywhere.
it's everywhere,
It's beautiful.
and
It
and
is.
it's like baked in now.
It is
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, before you got here, there was two folks on a bike that were at when we played the bakery gig last month. They were there, and they live here in the neighborhood. I've never met them, and they introduced themselves to me out here because I didn't get to speak to them at the bakery gig. And they were like, yeah, we were over there drinking beer, but it wasn't Bud Light.
Right.
That's exactly what he said. I said, well, yeah, you don't want your pee-pee to fall off. So, I mean, that's the running joke.
Yeah, I mean, and even if they come out and apologize, I don't know if you can outrun that anymore.
Mm-mm. No,
No,
no.
And it could have been fixed.
quickly.
The
yeah.
best PR person on the planet would probably turn this shit down.
Well, they
right
hired
now.
they hired some conservative consultants to try to figure out how they can reach.
I'm for her.
Hey,
Well, they already did, and
look. I'm gonna go ahead and give them my.
that's what those two commercials.
I'm gonna go ahead and give them my pitch. Go back to funny and chicks in bikinis.
Yeah.
After an apology.
Real Man of Genius was the best commercial
Yeah.
of beer.
I mean,
that's
Budweiser and Bud Light
absolutely
used to have
best.
the hottest chicks on earth trying to sell you beer, and that's real effective to guys that want to drink beer.
That and the fact, I mean, that Real Man of Genius.
Yeah,
And if they came out with one of those now and said,
just real
"We
men.
look, we apologize, we made a mistake," you know what?
We're going back
To
real
real
men.
men.
Yeah.
If they did, that would be a fucking gold mine that would get
And
everybody
their
back on
if
board.
they
CEI
did a-
rating would
yeah.
go from 100 to 40.
Right.
Yeah.
And if y'all use that, I'm suing the shit out of you
Right, yeah.
for plagiarism.
like do a,
that was
do
my
a parody
idea.
of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But again, see, I think that this is the culture war that the kind of stuff we have to engage in because it's too easy.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
this isn't
This is low hanging.
this isn't T-Mobile, who I still have, right?
Yeah.
Who says they're gonna like edit text messages about COVID at one point. This isn't any of that stuff. Like just go buy a different beer, man. Like that's it. It's too easy.
So did you speak along those same lines? Did y'all see where Ireland has outlawed sharing on social media of anything other than a mainstream media source? News stories from anything other than a mainstream media source.
I have a real hard time taking Irish people seriously when they talk about the Irish and the bravado and all that. And I'm like, yeah, I like that.
What we talk about the population thing and depopulation, which seems to be the goal of all of this. Ireland actually opened their borders because their population was declining dramatically, and they only had 5 million people.
Mm-hmm.
So they opened their borders, and all of these Muslims rushed in. Now, I'm not being Islamophobic, but
Not a real word.
it's not. But but the thing is what they've done is, in effect, a proud culture, part of which it runs through my blood.
Mine too.
Has now become so diluted and so scared that they're scared of. They've created a thought police. Which, if you don't stand up for your own things, guys, your own beliefs, that's what's happening here.
Now, technically, that bill is for anti-hate speech, but the issue with this quote hate speech is who's determining what's hate speech.
Right, absolutely.
Like,
who
there literally
is the
is no-
ultimate arbiter of hate speech?
Yeah. So then
Are you assuming my stances when I say something online?
Well, they could certainly turn it into, if you don't hear it from the major networks, and it's a counter argument, they'll find a way to spin it into.
Well,
into
it's, hey, we don't like you. You're going to jail.
well, our whole podcast tonight
Right. Oh, yeah.
is hate speech
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
them.
In Ireland.
To them, yeah. So if you're in Ireland, feel free to share this shit and take a chance.
Right.
We don't have a monetary fund to help with your legal, but it'd be pretty cool,
Get the fuck out.
right?
You can come move to Florida.
Right.
You can say any shit you want here.
Mm-hmm. Just about set fire in a movie theater.
You can actually say that though.
Can you though?
Yeah.
There are actually Supreme Court cases that says you can't. I mean, you can say fire, but you can't yell it.
That's a fire.
That's a fire.
So, because Wes chickened out on the podcast last week, we didn't get to talk about Tucker and Fox
What
News.
the fuck are that shit? What?
Just messing.
I
just wanted to drink. I had a shitty day. It wasn't about chickening.
Yeah.
Now you're challenging in my manhood right here on the thing.
Right.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, no, I just,
Roll into
so
Tucker.
the whole Fox News thing with Tucker, that broke last week. We didn't get a chance to discuss it. And I see there's so many people out there that vote like us, that probably think close to us, that are like, yay close to getting it right.
Yeah.
Like, Fox News is not our ally.
No, they're not.
And
They haven't ever been, really. I mean,
Well,
at least since Els died.
We did touch on BlackRock owning a good bit of stock in Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a little bit, but now what's happened since the last kind of podcast is somebody is leaking hot mic and off camera, not off camera, but off live studio, like behind the scenes like stuff of Tucker trying to make him look bad, and from like our vantage point,
better.
you're like.
Yeah.
Like,
He
literally,
looks like a normal dude.
it sounds totally reasonable in things he's saying. He's making jokes and having fun.
Yeah.
And then, his takes on things are 100% reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the couple links I picked up, people are saying that Fox is leaking it, but I don't know why Fox would be leaking this, because it's not helping them.
Right.
Because they're basically making their network look bad.
Yeah.
Well,
And when did this become a Tucker? If it is, they're creating a Tucker versus Fox.
well, because there's going to
Scenario.
be a lawsuit, Tucker, whatever leeway that or NDA or whatever time off that Tucker may have to take, he's suing them to get out of it.
Yeah.
And so that's what Fox is doing. They're just trying to make the pool a little bit dirty. So
Yeah, but it's not working. It's having the opposite effect.
oh, I don't disagree with you.
The people who hate Tucker hate Fox.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're not creating any allies here.
Well, but to me, the point of the whole thing is, for too long, Fox News has been telling people, mainly boomers, because I think their average viewer is like 69 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's up there.
But like they're telling, it's not even they're telling people what to believe. They're telling you the parameters around what you're allowed to believe.
Yeah.
And the whole tuning in to Sean Hannity, and to watch him and Lindsey Graham get to the bottom of it, and buying, Bill O'Reilly's book for decades, and all this stuff, and people think that that's activism and changing things, and it's clearly not. And Fox has never really ever been on our side,
No.
at least post Roger Ailes. Now look, Handy and Combs back in the day, I thought that was a good show. That was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you had point
You had a-
counterpoint
right.
Yeah.
scenario,
But-
and you had legitimate debate as opposed
Yeah,
to
and you had and
crap
you've
we
had
see
some
now.
folks over the years, but the longer it goes on, it is a complete detriment to our side
Right.
and whatever
Oh, yeah.
movement we think we have,
no, Fox is terrible.
and it's dying. And Rupert Murdoch, I mean, like, he's making a decision to lose money.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way he thought that people weren't going to leave. Like, the viewers at that 8 o'clock hour, at the 8 o'clock Eastern hour, are like cut in half and keep going down.
Yes.
And the replacement, Lawrence Jones III, I actually like Lawrence Jones III a lot. I can't watch him. Like, I wouldn't. I didn't watch Fox News anyways. But
Yeah.
like, no, bro, this ain't you. This is.
I stopped watching Fox News. I didn't even watch Tucker. I would watch Tucker
Clips.
clips
Yeah.
that would show, but I never watched an hour-long show of Tucker.
Right.
Because I can't. I'm not going to support Fox News. Now back in 2016 during the election and the aftermath of the 2016 election, I watched it, but then it became Sean Hannity. Like literally every one of his shows was a repeat. It
and
was the
he's
exact
so
same show
fucking
with the
irritating.
same guests. It didn't
Yeah.
change. So I'm like, I can't listen to this shit anymore. I can freaking recite it by memory.
Yeah.
Well,
The state statute that Hillary Clinton's email thing violated.
well, and now, Bruce Jenner's a recurring guest with Fox. Well, he's a paid contributor for Fox News,
Right.
Yeah.
and he's on Hannity's show all the time. And it's like, what are we thinking? Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
I don't want to hear from this person with a mental illness to try to tell me about conservatism.
Right.
Like, what? So you lose Bongino and Tucker in a week. Like, that clearly tells me the direction of that network.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're controlled opposition.
Yeah, they're trying to get back to the good old neocon Bush days where, hey, we want to go to war. Then now there's rumors that the Murdochs were on the phone with Zelensky the week before Tucker was let go.
Yeah.
I can't deal with Fox anymore.
Yeah, I hadn't watched Fox in years. I mean, I go to Twitter and I grab my news there. We share enough among ourselves, and other groups I'm in, other chat groups I'm in that, I mean,
Of my whole podcast list, and I mean, I subscribe to, I don't know, 15 or 20. I probably listen to 4 to 5 regularly.
right.
And then I got the other ones I say, but like none of them are from a mainstream outlet. And like you talking about, you've got a slide about the Fed. I listened to a guy who's a libertarian, and he was actually like supporting the Fed in what they're doing.
Which is not very libertarian.
Well, his point is this is the option we have right now. So, and he's like, should it go away? Yes. However, that ain't happening tomorrow. So to fix this is what they're doing.
You
And
got to raise the rates.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
and so like there's deep thought, and you don't have to go to Fox anymore. And Tucker's going to go to Rumble or wherever,
Well,
or
and,
one of these
he
independent
was-
Daily Wires.
He
or
was
start
offered a
his
job
own.
with Newsmax. I was under the impression he actually accepted the news director job.
Yeah, but
at
Newsmax is no different than Fox. Newsmax, based in Florida, had a vaccine mandate.
Yeah.
Well, there was rumors that he was going to actually control the entire country.
But
I don't know if that's true.
I
I've
don't
heard that
know if you
wasn't
guys
true.
have heard of Patrick Bet David with the Valuetainment podcast. It's fairly large, but I mean, they basically offered him like a stake, $100 million over 5 years. You can be president of the company, you can guide it. But the good thing about Tucker, it's not like Bill O'Reilly when Bill O'Reilly got canned from Fox. Tucker can go out on his own, start his own Rumble channel, and make 10 times the money he ever made.
Oh, hell yeah,
Yeah.
he can. And probably work
because
half as hard.
Tucker on Rumble at 7 p.m., that would be appointment viewing for me.
Yeah.
I would watch that almost every night.
Oh yeah, especially now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Wherever Tucker goes, I'm going to watch.
like
Well,
take the gloves off.
Did you see the video after he got dismissed from Fox, where he slid that that other tower in the 7th building?
Oh yeah. Well, he was on a podcast, and he was pointing out why can't I ask this question of my government, right?
Yeah.
Building 7, which
Right.
if you look into that at all, there's lots of questions.
Yeah, well, I took that as inference as to why, part of why he was dismissed. I mean, because he was asking questions that they didn't want him
Well,
to
he
ask.
got dismissed because they couldn't control him.
Yeah,
Well, that's it. I also think the anti-war part of it, with
Yeah.
the whole, just and not necessarily anti-Ukraine, just anti what the world's going on with it.
right.
I think that's part of it. I think being the pushing back against the vaccines when Pfizer spent God knows how many billions of dollars with Fox. I think it's a long list of things. I mean, he's talked about a minuscule amount of the controversial crap we have on this podcast.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
No, he had a lot more to lose, but still.
Yeah.
But along the lines of the death of Fox, which may or may not come, we heard about the death of BuzzFeed News.
Yeah.
They went under. Vice Media is about to file for bankruptcy.
Good.
That's another one of these leftist outfits that's going down,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Well, we didn't talk about it, but AOC coming out about the Tucker thing, and he should be censored and taken off the air, and then he was fired. The problem is for these people is they use the technology for so long to, like the mother we listened to the first part of the podcast, to turn those people into their foot soldiers.
Yeah.
However, the technology they were using, it's been co-opted. I mean, 3 dudes sitting in the driveway drinking beer, cussing too much, saying whatever the hell comes across our mind. I mean, we have hundreds of people a week listening to this. Thousands.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you're talking about a Tim Pool who is completely independent getting hundreds of thousands of views a night
Yeah.
in that 8 p.m. Eastern time slot. The Steven Crowder, like all these independent media places, like you don't need Fox anymore. As a matter of
Look at
fact,
Blaze TV's got 20 shows with
well,
those.
Steve Dace talked about it today when the Tucker thing came up, and he said they went into negotiations for a new contract with the Blaze, and Steve's like, I thought I was negotiating against myself, but the Blaze came to him and said, no, like if you go figure it out, you'll figure out that you can probably make more money independently. However, here's all the things we're going to provide you
Yeah.
that makes your life easier.
Right.
And so even the Blaze admitted to one of their largest hosts, like, no. Like, if it's just money and you're willing to go put in all the work behind the scenes, you can make more money independently and be freer and do whatever you want.
Right.
And Rumble's paying people, like these bigger places, like Crowder, I think only streams on Rumble now.
Yep.
I think there's quite a few folks. I know Bongino only streams his stuff on Rumble, and they're, so it's changing. And I think these other platforms will continue to grow, and they can't be censored anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't stop it.
Well, you remember the Parler stuff, and we sat there and we talked about, like, hey, you got to have your own infrastructure.
Yeah.
I think these companies are doing that now. Like that. See, we're reactive, but once you see what their game plan is, you can go protect yourself forever.
Right.
So,
And it's going to be, when you're in that type of situation where you're independent, nobody tells you what to do, you decide your fate.
yeah, and
Yeah.
think about it from a, like,
Your audience is going to tell you what's right and what's
I
not
think
right.
we're starting to see in the younger, I would say in the, say 15 to 20-year-old generation, that's about the time where you're like, man, screw the establishment, screw my parents and all that.
Right.
Well, the establishment, as they've been coming up, is all this tolerance and the pride flags shoved down there. And I'm seeing a lot of folk, like a lot of these young kids, just like, yeah, I don't want any part of that because y'all aren't cool.
Yeah.
You're not cool. Like you're forcing people to do. And I see a lot of people bailing from that. And now you've got this other entertainment infrastructure coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and people are going to be getting off of YouTube, and and off of these other places and going straight to Rumble. Like Rumble got off of YouTube like 2 huge gamers, I think it was.
Yeah.
And they paid them big money to just come on Rumble, and like they're just trying to build their user base.
Yeah.
And they're going after these younger users.
Well, one thing I noticed that YouTube's doing this week, used to you go to a YouTube channel and you could see how many subscribers. Used to you go to a YouTube channel. I mean, we can see it on ours, but you go to somebody else's. Used to you go to a mobile app and you cannot see how many subscribers that channel has. Now, I've been paying attention because I've been working. I've got a marketing theory, and I've been using it with my Wes Herndon Music official stuff to, different things to try to build subscriber base there, and different marketing tactics and things of that nature, different content ideas, things like that, because I've got a little more freedom there where it's not specialized. It's music related, but I'm noticing that certain types, YouTube's making a big push to compete with the TikToks and the Reels and stuff like that with their YouTube Shorts, and it's almost like they're trying to get away from the long form stuff. I mean, they're
trying to capture more of an audience because they're losing it.
Yeah.
TikTok's so popular, they're trying to get them off of TikTok.
Well, that, and they've just recently they've got a monetization model for these shorts now that's different than their long form videos. Right. They used to, the measurement, the analytics for YouTube video was obviously how many people actually watch a video, and one of the big analytics was how much watch time or percentage of the video did they watch. So with our stuff, when we live stream, we go for an hour, and we're actually a little over time right now. But so if somebody only watches 20 minutes of our video, that hurts us in the long run. Not that they're showing our shit to anybody, because they're obviously biased against us. But normal video accounts on YouTube, if somebody had 60 or more % watch time on a video, they would be more apt, the algorithm would be more apt to show that as a suggested video.
Right.
Whereas if it's 50% or less, they won't show it. So because their algorithm is set up, and it is a computer algorithm to encourage people to watch certain videos, to keep them on YouTube. Get in that YouTube hole where you watch this 1 10-minute video and you go to the next one that's suggested to you.
Yeah.
With shorts, it's completely and utterly different, and it's turned into a whole new animal. With that being said, guys, we are out of time for this live stream. I want to thank you all for tuning in, whether you watch us live or you watch us on a replay. You can find us at the DrivewayLibertyPodcast.com. You can find merch there. You can find all the places, all of our socials there. You can find out how to listen to us, our audio casts, and all of that nature. I want to thank my co-hosts, Travis and Dan, for hanging out with us in the driveway tonight. And I want to thank you at home for viewing this and sharing the podcast with your friends and family, because that's how we get the word out. With that being said, we are out of time. I am your Uncle Wes, and we will see you next time on the Driveway Liberty Podcast.
You are so